5. Dabbatul ard, a beast or a creature of the ard. Ard can mean earth, ard can mean the material universe, ard can mean land, ard can mean territory. In the context in which this appears, my opinion is that it refers to Al-Ardul Muqaddasa, the Holy Land. That a beast will appear in the Holy Land. The Quran tells us about that beast. And you know, the punctuation in the Quran did not come from Allah. No. The Prophet ﷺ would recite the ayah, and the scribes would write it down. But when they wrote it down, they didn't put in punctuation. So this is one word which can have two possible meanings. That the beast would tukallimuhum, speak to them, or taklimuhum, wound them. My understanding is the second meaning is more appropriate. And so I have come to the conclusion that this state of Israel today is the beast of the up. But Allah knows best. Number 6, that the sun would rise from the west. My methodology of study is that the Quran is the only supreme authentic authority in Islam. And no hadith has absolute authenticity. And therefore the Quran sits in judgment over the hadith. Hadith cannot change the Quran. No. The Quran tells us that the sun rises from the east. I believe it does in KL, does it? From the east? Right, good. And the sun sets in the west. The Quran tells us that. And the Quran also tells us, La tabdila li khalqillah, that Allah's creation does not change. Therefore, I have come to the conclusion that the sun cannot physically rise from the west. No, because that would be in conflict with the Quran. But you would be surprised at the number of emails I'm getting from all over the world. Sheikh, there's something called reverse magnetic theory or something like that or the other. And the sun is actually going to rise from the west. Oh, they're not giving me any peace at all. Therefore, I have to understand the sun rising from the west to be something which is symbolic. There is going to be a false sunrise. That false sunrise will come from the west. It is not the true sunrise. This false sunrise wants to replace the true sunrise. And so I have perceived that false sunrise to be modern Western secular civilization. But this is my opinion. Do not accept my opinion unless you are convinced that it is correct. Number 7, 8, and 9. That there will be 3 khusuf, plural of khas. A khas is a movement of the earth, which is normally called an earthquake. But this movement of the earth would result in a sinking down of the earth. One would be in the east, the second would be in the west, and the third, you know, I was here a few years ago, and in Tamansuri, UK, it was Ramadan, the people, you didn't hear about it? They had woken up in the morning for the Sahri, and the whole house went down. You didn't hear about that? Tamansuri, UK. So one in the east, one in the west, and the third one in Arabia. And that third one in Arabia, that is the one which will confirm that this is Imam al-Mahdi. Not the eclipse of the sun and the moon, no. This is the one, the sinking down of the earth in Arabia. And number 10, that a fire will come out of Yemen. I don't understand this to be a literal fire. I understand this to be a revolutionary fire. You remember 1990? Some of you may have been born already, 1990. Huh? When Saddam Hussein sent his troops into Kuwait, and took over Kuwait, remember? Oh my, you should have seen the Malay people, they were all celebrating. Yes, the Malay were very happy, and all the Malay were supporting Saddam. In Singapore as well, giving headache to the Singapore government, because they detested Kuwait. They detested Kuwait. And the Yemeni people, there were about 8 million of them working in Saudi Arabia. And the Yemeni people all applauded and they supported Saddam Hussein. So when Bush Sr. sent what he called a desert storm and pushed this Iraqi army out of Kuwait, Saudi Arabia then retaliated against those 8 million Yemenis and threw them out of the country. So the heart of Yemen is anti-systemic. The heart of Yemen despises the oppressor. And this is why the Prophet said, Allahumma barik lana fi shamina wa yamanina. O Allah, grant blessings for us in our Sham, Syria, and our Yemen. I wish he had included Indonesia as well. And so a fire will come out of Yemen and drive mankind to their place of assembly, which is Arafat. And so that spells goodbye to Saudi Arabia. These are the 10 major signs of the last day. And I don't have the time now. Each one of these will take some time to explain, each one of these. I'm writing a book on Dajjal now, and I hope I can complete that book while I'm here in Malaysia. I've already written this book on Gog and Magog. It's the only book in the market in the modern age, the only one. But you should now, because of today's lecture, and because you have been to KLCC, don't tell me you've not been to KLCC, and you've seen the tall buildings. Today's lecture is a wake-up call that you must study the subject of signs of the last day, and that you have to concentrate your study on the major signs, the 10 major signs. This book is entitled Signs of the Last Day in the Modern Age.